Now we want to think about what is our particle emitter. It's going to emit these particles. That will be our bullet, our fireball. Whenever our fireball hits something, it's going to make a little explosion. Number one, the fireball needs to identify the explosion so it can do something with it later on. So we'll say when the level starts, we'll target that explosion. The way that we'll target is by a class. So we'll go to variables, we'll make a new property variable, set true false I. We'll change true false to class, and we'll change I to explosion particle. Now the difference between instance and class, instance is one specific object. Class is more like the idea of that object, kind of like the blueprint of the object. So you could have a bunch of explosion particles, but they would all belong, they'd be all created from the class explosion particle. And because we might want to make a lot of these explosion particles, by saving the class, then we can use that with our create new instance block, which we'll do next. Now we need to give this class a value, and we'll set the class explosion particle to, if we go to sensing, down in our class section here, we've got class of, and then the object myself. So we use that class of myself, but get rid of myself and swap that out with first instance by tag explosion particle. Alright, so we've saved who the explosion particle is, or the class that it is, so that we can go use that when we want to create one. We want to create an explosion particle when a fireball hits anything. So down here we're going to create an explosion. We might put this in a function. So make a new function called to do something. This will be called spawn explosion particle, or maybe just spawn explosion. And we need this block from drawer. Create a new instance of class. And the class here, if we click on that, we can change it to explosion particle. Alright, and then we want this function to happen when the fireball touches something, so we'll go back to functions, spawn explosion, we'll go in there. Before we go and test it out, we'll make sure we position this new explosion on the fireball. So we want to go to transform, set X position of, not myself, but of this instance. So right click on that and create get instance. There we go. So setting the position of this new instance, not to 0, but to X position of myself, the bullet. That's from transform X position myself. Same thing for the Y position. So set the Y position of this new instance to Y position of myself. Now let's test this out. And it gives us an error. Set instance position block could not find an instance. Right, this will be happening because down here we're trying to position this instance, but this instance doesn't exist. It's not getting created.